4 years ago, I had a blood clot that changed everything, and I thought I'd left that chapter behind until last week when it happened again. So, want to take you back to when it first happened. So, what I was doing was I was playing a lot of rugby at the time, and unfortunately, I thought that I was suffering with a bit of Achilles tendonitis, which turned out to be a blood clot in my lower leg. Basically, for weeks, I'd been suffering with really bad Achilles pain, which if you're a sports person, a runner, rugby player, footballer, you will know this kind of pain where you're just used to on the day-to-day of a sort of low-level, injury where you think that, it's going to go away. Unfortunately, despite having a really strong team around me, we weren't able to pick up that I had a DVT in my leg. I was able to sort of pick up the symptoms. I was really shortness of breath. I actually woke up in the middle of the night with, not able to breathe. And I was also coughing up blood, which maybe back in the day was obviously, in hindsight, 2020 and all that. I thought that was maybe just a result of, severe collisions at rugby, and that's something that I thought I was dealing with just as a sort of symptom of that. However, it turned out to be the blood clot had dislodged from my leg and unfortunately moved to my lungs. So basically we found out through a bunch of testing that in my family history there's a sort of history of blood clots in there. So that was really good that we managed to catch it. A couple of days in hospital and we were able to, get the sort of the worst of the symptoms over and, get anticoagulated and sort of get back to living normal life. But one thing I didn't anticipate was how hard it would actually hit me mentally, but also with the whole aspect of playing rugby and sports revolving around my whole life, about how much that would actually change it. So I want to talk a little bit about recovery and the comebacks. Recovery, I wasn't able to do any sort of fitness or any exercise. Obviously, I had to immediately stop playing contact sports. So that was, from there, I stopped playing rugby and I was able to start doing endurance sports and running and things of that nature probably around 4 to 6 weeks. And then, it was a bit more about the mindset shift about, what did that mean for me in terms of how I approach health and fitness. And, it obviously led me to then falling in love with all things endurance sports, which is what the job that I currently do now full time, which is an absolute blessing in disguise in a way, and obviously led me down the path to becoming a coach and putting all my eggs in the basket of coaching and helping other endurance athletes. So basically I started focusing on helping others when I wasn't able to move, as I wasn't able to do anything. So in terms of what that recovery looked like, 2 days in hospital and then on to lifelong anticoagulation. Unfortunately, last week, finding out that it's back has sort of brought up a lot of the old memories, which is obviously not a nice feeling. And then just want to talk a little bit about how I've noticed it this time, the warning signs, and maybe what you could look out for. Because obviously I'm a young, relatively healthy individual, so you would think that I probably wouldn't be on the list for the people that this would possibly affect. So if this is able to even help one person, then obviously I'm really grateful. You should always get checked out. I think that's one thing that's worth addressing on this video. If you're a young person, especially a man, and you probably think you're invincible, especially through your early 20s, you've probably done so much crazy stuff that you probably wouldn't even tell anyone. If you are sort of suffering with any health issues, it is not weak or, you're not showing signs of weakness by going to the doctors and getting yourself checked out. The first thing you should do at any signs of illness is go get yourself checked out. For the symptoms that I found this time was extremely elevated resting heart rate. So for example, my resting heart rate is normally in the low 40s as a runner, endurance athlete. I found my resting heart rate around 55 to 60, which is a severe increase, around 20%. I've seen myself in training fatigue, it maybe be around 10%. Obviously the next day after a rest day, which you should be taking, it obviously goes back down. However, if you find that it's obviously not going back down, then that's something you should address. Another thing that I found was prolonged swelling and leg pain in my leg. I had been seeing the physio, and actually thank God for the physio Ross, who was able to sort of actually push me to go to the hospital when I went back with recurring injuries on my right side. So he obviously found that there was extreme swelling, and this wasn't going away with any physio or massage. So this was something that sort of led me to go to the hospital. So this is obviously something that you should do. One thing that you sort of brings back old memories of just like how emotional it is for you to actually go and face this again, which can be really, really difficult. I've went through it this week, and unfortunately it means that I'm no longer able to train, and I'm no longer able to join sessions with the team, and that's something that I really enjoy as a coach. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't really difficult to deal with. However, I've walked the path before, and I would say that this has been a lot easier this time, thanks to obviously my wife Sophie, who's helped me through the issues, and my family have obviously been really supportive, as they've all suffered with these kinds of issues before. So really good to get their support on this. One of the really difficult things is obviously like this weekend. I'm supposed to be traveling to Turkey today. My wife's already away there to travel for one of my best mates' weddings. Unfortunately, I've had to miss it due to one of the reasons that I actually got the blood clot was due to after Berlin Marathon. I actually got the blood clot probably from the flight. And this is something that everyone should make sure that they do on the flight, is they should make sure that they get up and walk around. I didn't really do this because I was basically feeling a bit unwell / hungover. So I kind of just sat down and just sort of tried to raw dog my way through the flight. Even if you're a young person, you should definitely focus on getting up every 15 to 20 minutes in the flight, regardless of how much of an inconvenience this is to people. And I can't reiterate that enough. That's a zero skill thing to do, and something that I wish I'd done. I normally was pretty attentive with it. And like the doctor said, a clot can form in your leg in less than 15 minutes. If you're someone who's got clotting factors in their blood, like me, 3 to 4 minutes or something. I'm just absolutely lucky that I didn't die on the flight, to be honest. And it could be something more serious. It could be a lifelong medication is just nothing compared to just dropping down dead on a flight. So always get yourself sort of up and moving. I know the process this time, so it's different this time. My comeback is obviously going to be a lot quicker. I cannot wait to get back training, and I can't wait to be doing things that I love, with the people that mean a lot to me. So really looking forward to start getting moving again. We've caught it early. I knew my body a bit better. However, I'm still pretty angry at myself for, not doing more precautions. I still wore my flight socks. I could have been better hydrated. I could have moved around more on the flight, and I could have been to the doctors, previously, to maybe talk about anticoagulation before I got on the flight. So it's just so important to listen to your body. And when it's giving you warning signs, to listen, especially if you're a young man. We are the least likely people to go to the doctors when we have health issues, and I cannot reiterate enough how important that is. So where my mindset is now, I'm going to take the weekend to be gutted about my mate's wedding, to be honest. I think it's important to sort of feel your emotions when faced with setbacks like this. I'm really, really gutted. And to be honest, it's just like been an absolute sting. A few tears yesterday, no tears on the camera today. We're not really about that on this channel, but I'm going to take some time to focus on things I can control. I've went on some nice walks with the dog this morning, try and focus on doing some sort of more mindfulness stuff. I've enrolled in a mobility program for the next month, so that should be really nice to do. I've been cleared to start swimming again today, so hopefully I can, get myself back in the pool. And this is actually something I spoke about on this previous video around training and anxiety. I already know that I have some anxious thoughts about getting back into training. What if I drop down dead in the pool? What if this happens? So I'm just going to really take the time to just sort of treat my body with a bit of respect so that I can come back stronger, so that I can come back doing to what I love. And basically, I'm just going to take it slow. I've pretty much canned all the races that I had for the end of the year. Those don't really matter now. And that's sort of important to sort of realize that that doesn't really matter. This isn't the end. It's a slight pause. All the sort of critical health signs are back to normal. My blood pressure's back to normal. My heart rate is slowly getting back to normal, back into the low 40s. And to be honest, I've just come back off running a marathon, so my body will thank me for this break. I just want to end with this one, serious note. Obviously, this is a pretty serious video. If this helps even one person catch the warning signs early of blood clots or pulmonary embolism, then, that means that it means a lot to me that you'll basically go and get this checked, and, just pausing for 5 minutes to go to the doctors to do a simple blood check, that they're able to check your infection markers and things like that, then it's worth sharing. Like, I'm not expecting thousands of people to get benefits out of this, but if you're able to sort of get a little bit of help, then that'll mean a lot to me. If you've suffered with any I'm not a health expert, but if you've suffered with any of these symptoms, swollen legs, elevated heart rate, loss of breathlessness, please do reach out to me directly via the bottom comments on this channel, or feel free to reach out more personally on my Instagram at broadrun. And if you've suffered with these before, it might really sort of help someone if you share your story down below. It might give someone else a bit more hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel, which I know there will be for me once I've overcome this. So I appreciate you taking the sort of short time to listen to this video, and whatever health issues you're facing, I know it'll get better. So thank you very much for listening, and hopefully you can follow some of my other more inspiring videos, hopefully, down below on the rest of my channel. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Drop a like on the video, or like I said, a comment if you found this helpful. Peace out.